something you've never done before. This is what adventures are all about. Hi, I'm Chris Northover. I'm excited to present to you the new G310 GS. It's a bike that's built for everyday adventures. And with me to talk about it is Product Manager Sabine Kreuer. Sabine, obviously a new BMW, but clearly it's a GS too.
For sure, we have a real BMW and also a real GS. When you have a look on the Flyline, for example, you really can see the genes of the whole family, from the bigger sister, from the big GS.
Cool, so it's a bike that's built for taking on the city and getting out into the urban jungle as well.
You can use it in different ways. So you can use it for swift commuting through the city, but also to go on gravel roads and to explore the city, for example, to find places where you've never been before.
So this bike uses the unique engine concept from the G310R.
Yes, that's right. So we have the backwards tilted engine and also the rotated cylinder head. So you have an optimum weight balance for the bike. So the bike is very easy to handle.
In terms of emissions and power, it's the same as the G310R?
Yes, it is. So we also have the 34 horsepowers, and all the worldwide emission standards are fulfilled with this bike. And what's really convincing about this bike is the fuel consumption, because the rate is very, very low.
And moving on to the chassis, we can see the GS has got a more enduro-inspired suspension and a bigger front wheel as well.
Yes, we have a 19-inch front wheel, because you can go through poor streets or gravel streets, and so it's much more easier to handle, go over stones and all this stuff. You can see all the switches are also the same and all the levers, and the instrument cluster.
Yeah, and it's really nice. It's good quality switchgear, easy to use, and the display is really clear.
Yes, and you mentioned the quality. We have more premium parts here. We have the die-cast aluminium swing arm and also the upside down fork, and we have the ABS, and for sure on a GS you can switch it on and off.
Oh, that makes a big difference, making the bike much more useful on rough roads.
Yes, it does.
So the G310 GS is a ticket into the adventure world for new riders, but who else is it designed for?
There are also the travel people you mentioned before. So we have the luggage rack where you can put on 2 different types of top cases. You also have the enduro footrests included, so you only need to put out the rubber of it, so you can also use it for the enduro parts. And you can have heated grips and a tank bag when you're traveling for longer distances, for example.
So there's quite a few options there. I mean, are there other accessories available?
Yes, there are. We also have a few options for navigation. So you can put the smartphone cradle on here to navigate with your smartphone very easily, and you also can charge it with it. And there is also a small GPS which you can put on the bike. If you want to see more about the bike, you can check online on our homepage and find out the details about the bike again.
Oh, fantastic. So the G310 GS, as you'd expect from a GS, is a bike for going a little further afield, getting out of the city into the hills, and yeah, having your own adventure. I can't wait to take it somewhere.
Adventure. It's all about riding to new places, seeing new sights, and meeting new people. But not all of these things can be reached on a tarmac road. Sometimes you've got to hit the dirt. So I'm going to give you 5 tips to take your off-road riding to a new level, and you can get adventures in all of the places you want. Okay, so first up is the standing position. Whenever you see people riding off-road, it's the most obvious difference to road riding. You're stood up on the foot pegs, head up, eyes looking forward. The best thing about this, firstly, your legs. They are fantastic suspension units. So when you're hitting bumps off-road, you can absorb the impacts and let the bike move around beneath you. And the final most important bit I'm going to talk about with standing is the foot pegs. All of your steering off-road comes through the foot pegs. So you're going to work those pegs, and that's going to control the bike. So you want the foot peg right in the arch of your foot. It gives you control and access. probably the most important part of not just off-road riding, but road riding in any sport is vision. It's a simple thing. Where your eyes go, you go. If you're looking up the trail, looking around the corner, you'll make the turn. If you get into the corner and you have a good old look at that berm on the outside, guess what? That's where you're going. But it's not just in turns. When you're hitting a straight road and there's bits of lumps of gravel in the floor, keep your eyes on the distance. As soon as your eyes drop focus to the thing in front of your front wheel, all you know is what color the thing you're going to hit is. So keep your eyes ahead and look at where you want to be, not at what you want to miss. Okay, next we're going to talk about my favorite control on the motorcycle. Not the throttle as you might expect, but it's the clutch. The clutch lever here is where all your control comes from, and you know what, it's your get out of jail free card. If you're riding down a slippery trail, maybe you get caught up in a tire rut from a 4x4, if that bike comes around sideways, you take that clutch in, drive's gone, and the bike's back under control. And that's going to save you so much trouble when you're on slippery and technical situations. And the other point with the clutch is, as your riding gets better, that's where your power slides come from, that's where your little wheel lifts to get over holes in the ground comes from, that's where all the entertaining stuff comes from. So spend time, work on your clutch skills, and always, always, always cover that clutch lever when you're riding. So when your knuckles are white on the hand grip of the bike, there's no way in a million years you're going to prise these fingers out to get the clutch control. So always, always, always rest it on the clutch, and then you can take that drive straight away when you need to. Okay, we touched on it a little bit in the standing position, but steering the motorcycle off-road is one of your biggest differences to riding on-road. On-road, everything comes through the handlebars. Push the handlebar into a turn to counter-steer the bike, it tips in. Off-road, it's all through those foot pegs. If you go wrestling the handlebars about, that's where those horrible front-end slides that you feel in the gut of your stomach, that's where that comes from. So light as we can on the bars, all of our steering through our feet. Push the right foot peg, the bike goes right. Push the left foot peg, the bike goes left. It's as simple as that. While we're steering it, we want our body weight up above the bike. Until we're motocross world champions, we really don't need to be leaning into the turns so much with our shoulder. Push the foot peg to steer the bike, turn your head, and the bike comes round, and we keep nice and balanced up above it. Okay, then braking is one of those areas that people are sometimes a little bit scared of off-road. There's always that fear that you're going to touch that front brake, the tire's going to lock, and down you're going to go. So rather than shying away from it, spend some time getting used to it. You can't be aggressive with the levers, either the foot brake or the handbrake. You can't jab at them, you've got to do everything really, really smoothly, as if you're riding with a glass of water on your tank and you don't want to spill it. So when you apply the brakes, the initial application is very soft, just letting the weight of the bike transfer forward. Once the weight's on that front tire, then you can really start pulling the lever and feeling for the grip. Now these bikes have got ABS these days, so you're pretty well covered. But if the tire does lock, trust me, your inbuilt ABS works. Trust yourself, get off the brake, and the bike will straighten back out. But most importantly, don't shy away from using the brakes off-road. Find yourself a nice area, practice and get familiar with being smooth on the controls. So there we have it. There's 5 tips to improve your riding off-road. The most important one that I'm going to give you at the end here though is practice. Practice, 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 and then practice some more. Don't feel like you've got to be going full tilt first time. Give yourself time to acquire the skills and get comfortable off-road, and it will become the most enjoyable part of your riding. There's only a very small percentage of roads that have tarmac, so getting comfortable on the dirt will open up a whole new world to you and take your adventures places you'd never dreamed. Best of all, get some training from an approved BMW training center and spend your time really wisely improving those riding techniques.